We have looked into options because my father has Alzheimer's, my mother has dementia, but we find that for us, we want to care for them, we feel an obligation to care for them, and we want to set a good example for our children. Our experience with keeping them at home has been rewarding for everyone in the home. It's also very challenging because all the time we have to balance the needs of the young people in the house and the elderly people.
Welcome everyone to Family Comes First. I'm Vincent J. Russo.
And I'm Victoria Roberts-Drogan. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today we're talking about one of the most profound issues, Vincent, that faces the sandwich generation. When the role shifts and now you are the child taking care of your parents.
With more Americans living older and the rise of dementia and Alzheimer's disease, more and more parents are relying on their children, and life can change in a dramatic way. But who we are is defined by our family.
This leads us to the home of Marta Waters, a loving and spiritual woman who is the caregiver of her family, which includes her parents, her mother-in-law, her son, and her twin nieces.
What a challenge. But her story is the story of many homes that are multi-generational.
Joining us now are Lisa Classert of Catholic Health Services of Long Island and Kim Christian, an elder law attorney in Vincent's law firm. Welcome to you both.
Yeah, welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Lisa, our first question is what does Catholic Health Services do to help seniors stay at home?
Well, Catholic Health Services is actually a conglomerate of hospitals, nursing homes, and what we provide that helps patients stay at home is our home care services. We have an acute home care and we have hospice service as well as long-term home care. Long-term home care is what's called a nursing home without walls, and the goal of this program is for families to take care of their loved ones at home without having to put them in a nursing home.
And that's what I hear day in and day out in my law practice. People want to stay home.
Yeah.
You know, seniors want to be home. They want to be comfortable in their own home, living their own lifestyle, and when they have care needs, they need services.
And that's what this program does. It provides those services and assists the family to be able to keep their loved ones home and to continue their life as, they see they need to live, take care of their own families as well as taking care of their parents.
So sometimes it's seniors who are living on their own and sometimes it's seniors who are living with their families.
Yes.
But either way, it's an alternate track to having them move into a home.
And our goal is keep them home with their families, prevent them from rehospitalizations, and to keep them where they want to be.
Sure.
Now, I ask all the hard questions. So how do you do it?
Yeah.
How do you keep them home? What services do you provide?
Well, we assist the families. There's many services under the Lombardi program that we can provide. The main service is the nursing, which can be anywhere from 1 to 4 times a month, and the home health aid, which seems to be the main area where families need assistance. But we can provide physical therapy. We assist with transportation. Another way that helps the families is daycare programs, where we can have the family member go out to socialization, which is very important at an older age, even with an Alzheimer's or dementia patient.
Absolutely.
Getting out socializing, getting involved in the community. It's very important. And we can assist with transportation for those services as well.
Now, it's still today, some seniors are shocked when they learn that Medicare doesn't cover those services. And it's private pay or it's Medicaid.
Yes.
And so your program focuses in on the Medicaid program?
Yes, we're a Medicaid-funded program through the Department of Social Services. But we are in association with Catholic Home Care, which is a Medicare, Medicaid, and we accept other insurances. And while they're on these programs, myself and our social workers are able to assist people in reaching out to what other services they may need in the future.
So you're part of a bigger organization that has lots of services.
Yes.
In different ways. And so it's great because when you enter into when you have the need for services and then you enter into an agency, it's great to know that, well, it may not be the agency that you're talking to, but there's also an agency right next to us, all affiliated, that we can refer you to.
Yes, and they'll call me. And actually, I'll send a nurse or myself goes to a home and evaluates somebody. It's all part of being part of Catholic home care.
Great.
So you can appropriately support a
Yes,
family.
along with the social worker and the nurses that are currently seeing the patient to make sure they get exactly what they need.
Terrific.
Yeah. Kim, when the Waters family first came in to meet with you, what were the issues and the concerns that they were facing? What did they come and ask you, and how did you advise them?
Sure. As you mentioned earlier, the Waters family is a very mixed family, and there's 3 elderly adults living in the home, and the Waters were very focused on wanting to keep their family members home and provide them with care. Specifically, in the beginning, they focused on Dad and getting him the requisite care he needed so he could stay home.
So what exactly did you advise, and how did it help?
Yeah, this is an amazing family that wanted to keep the family together, keep the family at home. So what we advised them to do is, let's apply for Medicaid community care. Let's apply for home care and get the services in there that they need while also maintaining the family structure and protecting the assets.
So how do assets that one has play into being eligible for Medicaid home care, and then income?
Right. So there's a multi-prong test here, one of which is assets, and you can't have assets this year at approximately $14,200. You have to have less than that. And there's also an income allowance that you can have as well. So you have to make sure you get the proper advice, file correctly as far as the application is concerned, and make sure you're under those limits so you are in fact eligible.
And we know there are a lot of traps, a lot of
So many,
exceptions
of
to the
course,
rules.
of course.
So you've thrown out just a very general number, what you could have, and then there's an exception like for the house, but it could be subject to estate recovery.
Sure.
It's not the way we should be providing long-term care services to seniors, and there are many hoops to jump through. So, could
It's
you...
like you're cobbling together a solution with a lot of moving parts and a lot of different pieces.
Now, if in the situation with the Waters family, you were able to help them obtain Medicaid home care services for Dad. What happened to his income?
Right. So what we had to do is we had to be very mindful of the situation and make sure that his income can still be used and maximized for his benefit to stay at home.
Okay.
So what we did was something called a pooled income trust. And a pooled income trust is a trust that goes hand in hand with Medicaid community care that allows the applicant to submit their income to this pooled charitable income trust to recapture it, thereby paying their household bills.
Otherwise, what would happen to the income?
They would have to forfeit their income or give their income over for their care.
And I'm proud to say that we've created with our Teresa Foundation a Teresa Foundation Pool Trust to help
That's terrific.
seniors in New York State.
It's beautiful.
So it's a resource that's available to everyone.
That's
In
correct.
this situation.
That's correct.
Lisa, what's the most important tip that you could give a family who's in the situation today where they're looking to keep a loved one at home?
The best tip they can get is do not try and do it alone. This is a 24/7, 365 job, no vacation, no holiday. There are resources available to them as Medicaid or respite in a nursing home, but there is help out there.
So
and
make sure you look for it.
make
and
sure you look
reach
for
out.
help.
Yeah.
So how do I do that? Do I call you?
You can call me.
What's your number?
My number. 631-224-8696. You can ask to speak to me. And if I can't directly help, I will absolutely point the person in the direction that they need to go, be it to an elder care attorney like Vincent or to some other resource out there, Department of Health, Department of Aging, anything out there that can help.
Thank you so much. The work
You're welcome.
that both of you are doing is tremendous.
Thank
and
you.
thank
Thank
you
you.
for being here today.
Thank you. When we come back, we will sit down with Marta Waters and her nieces Andrea and Victoria Roos to talk about living in a multi-generational house. And I think her husband's going to join us maybe. Stay with us.
We have looked into options because my father has Alzheimer's, my mother has dementia, but we find that for us, we want to care for them and we want to set a good example for our children. So that's the reason for our family for now. We feel it's the best option. They feel taken care of. We try to love them and treat them with compassion, and it has been a very good example for our children. We have a very eclectic home. We have our son who is 15 years old. We have our nieces who have been with us for the last 10 years. They're 18 years old. They're seniors at Cannonball Memorial. The girls were actually raised by my parents. So when my dad was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, they jumped in at the idea of helping out care for them. We are blessed to have a home that is comfortable to accommodate all the 8 members in the home. Because we have been with us over 10 years now, we have seen the decline in their health, and we had to make some accommodations. For example, in my mother-in-law's, in the bathrooms, we have made them handicap accessible, walk-in showers. In the case of my dad, we actually invested in a hospital bed. We have something called a Hoyer lift, which is to facilitate putting him, transferring him from the wheelchair to the bed. We did not have to make major changes, but many times were practical changes, like eliminating area rocks to eliminate the risk of falling, just because my mother has fallen various times. We also put in a portable ramp in the front of the house to facilitate in and out with a wheelchair. We have walkers for my mother and my mother-in-law, again, to avoid the risk of falling down. Our experience with keeping them at home has been rewarding for everyone in the home. It's also very challenging because all the time we have to balance the needs of the young people in the house and the elderly people. The needs for my dad are different because of the condition of the illness that is progressive. There may be 3 or 4 things that we have to keep in mind. One is the sleep at night. We have tried many different things to get him to sleep during the night and be awake during the day, but we pretty much have failed at each one of them. So we have to accept that with this illness, sometimes you're sleeping 48 hours and you're awake 48 hours. It comes with it.
I really enjoy it. It's much more better to live with the family than to live in a nursing home, because you have common interests when you're with the family and know what's going on. The girls come home from school, and my grandson, Martin Pedro, he comes home from school, and then the day changes, and you hear more things that are going on outside besides just the television and things like that.
I have many friends that are going through the same situation now. Many of them are beginning the journey where a parent has been diagnosed with dementia or Alzheimer's. And I always advise to them to seek elderly care advice, because it's not easy. There are a lot of complexities relating to legal documents, whether it be a will or financial planning for your parents or health care proxies, things that you have to have in order to be able to take care of them.
We are talking today about taking care of mom and dad at home.
With us now is Marta Waters, who takes care of both her parents as well as her mother-in-law. We are joined by her husband Martin and her nieces Andrea and Victoria Rouse. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you
so much for being here and joining us today.
Thank you.
So let's jump right in. Marta, what is a typical day like in the household? You wake up and
in the morning, I have to check on the kids to get them out to school. My son is a sophomore at Chaminade now, so I drive him every morning. But I also have to make sure that my mother-in-law, my mother, and my father are doing well. There are times when, for example, one day I get up, my mother is on the floor, she had fallen down, and I had to take my son, drive him to school, and then come back, take her to the hospital. So it really depends. Every day it changes depending on the needs of each one. My mother-in-law had surgery about a year ago, so that was something we had to adjust. So we continuously monitor and change on as needed.
Now you have services coming in the house, so you're the coordinator.
Right, but my services, I only receive 8 hours a day, and actually I set it up that they come in at 10 in the morning.
Okay.
That way they don't leave until 6 p.m., so it gives me enough time to go do my pickups in the afternoon. And that's part of that. We have been very blessed that the people that care for my dad always come. So that has been a positive in our life.
You're a very busy person.
Yes.
Really dedicated to your family, because that's a lot of caregiving and coordinating.
But we all work as a team. We have all learned, like I rely on the girls and my son and my husband to help me out. So we pretty much plan daily, and we are not spontaneous. We just adjust every day, and every day we just go according to what the needs are for that day. Like, for example, my mother-in-law now requires like physical therapy and different doctors. So we plan. So we plan for that. I remember last summer my son had a baseball game away, and I really wanted to go. So I asked the girls to stay home for the weekend, and we made them in charge of the seniors. So it's the reverse. They were babysitting
Learning experience.
their grandparents, but they're great, and they do help out.
Terrific. Martin, what role has your faith in God played?
Well, it's played a big role. I guess my faith was instilled early in my life by my parents and my grandparents. I grew up in a house where my grandparents lived with us, my mother's parents. And so from an early age, our faith was very important to us. So it's been important all along. I was educated in Catholic schools at Our Lady of Loretto in Hempstead, Chaminade, St. John's. And it's been an important role, and faith has played an important part in our married life together. I think we couldn't handle all the responsibilities that we have in caring for the seniors as well as the children if we didn't have God in our life as a foundation. So I think it's been very important.
Yeah, wonderful. It's given you strength.
I think so.
To deal with
I
the
can't
challenges.
imagine doing it without having a faith-centered life.
Now, your household is also bilingual, and perhaps growing more bilingual as your parents age.
Sure. Marta's father was totally bilingual, having grown up in Puerto Rico when he came to live with us. But as the Alzheimer's progressed, he stopped speaking English and communicated only in Spanish.
And girls, you're fully bilingual. You speak Spanish and English.
Yes.
So you can talk to him.
Yes.
Yeah, that's terrific.
And what about the moms?
Well, that's one of the challenges, because actually the aides that I have in place now, they do not speak English, because when I hired them were to care for my dad.
Okay.
So that is a cause of frustration in the house, because my mother-in-law does not understand them and they don't understand her. So I need to be home, even though I have the aid for my dad. I need to be home so I'm able to translate. And they're able to help me a little bit, but not much.
It's a challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. Andrea and Victoria, let's talk about the grandparents, because it's one big household. So Andrea, share your feelings regarding your grandmother or grandfather.
I'm very close to my grandpa, and he has Alzheimer's, and he's very, he doesn't really know who we all are. So every single day when I come home, I always gravitate towards him. I always make sure that he's okay. And even though he doesn't know who I am, he always puts a smile on my face because he's just so happy. Even though he doesn't know who any of us are, he's always has such a happy spirit.
And I think the happy spirit is him feeling comfortable that he's in a happy and loving environment.
Yeah.
You know,
I think
He's very
somehow he
loved.
feels safe.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so important. And Victoria?
Well, for me personally, I'm very close with my grandma, and seeing her change through dementia, it actually really affected me, because I was very close with her when I was growing up. She was always a person I went to when I was little, even when I was getting older. And then when she got diagnosed with dementia, it was really hard to kind of communicate with her. And before she even had dementia, we were very close. I did everything with her. We used to dance together. And then now, instead of her being independent, now she's more dependent on, I guess, not only me, but everybody else. So I'll make her lunch, or at night when she's ready for bed, I'll put her in bed and I'll lift her feet up and I'll tuck her in, and then I'll give her a kiss goodnight. But she still knows who I am, but like sometimes she'll confuse me with my mom or somebody else, but I think like she appreciates the love that I give for her, which is like the most important thing. So like, but I know like for me, like sometimes I'll get really frustrated with her, but like over the weekend, I felt like looking in her eyes, I could tell that like she was very confused, but I looked at her and I was like, okay, I really need to change. And now I feel more like comfortable with her, and like I kind of see like where, like how she is now. So I can kind of be in the same boat with her instead of like separating myself from her and like her dementia. So I kind of feel like now I can give her a little bit more love.
So you've had to move from being one way with her and interacting with her in a certain way to just being present with wherever she is now.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah, really hard.
Very hard.
And I'm sure there are a lot of classmates who are in similar situations with their grandparents. Is there any conversation, or are you able to support them if they have issues?
I know like I think most of our friends, except for maybe one friend that lives with her grandparents. So sometimes like if they ask like, oh, like do you want to hang out? Like we have to say sorry, we can't. Like we have to watch our grandparents. But like one of our friends, she lives with her grandparents, and she sometimes she has like frustrations. So like she has to cope with it. But with our friends, I feel like they're very like understanding with our situation that we have to like watch our grandparents. So it's not like they judge us or anything. Like they're very understanding and caring. So
Sure.
So Marta, as your parents age, what are some of your hopes for the future for them?
I actually hope that we can be healthy so we can continue to take care of our family. That's actually my main concern, because three of them, the kids plus the 3 seniors, 6 people, are totally dependent on us. And the second concern that I have is financial. It's very expensive to pay for care. And the fact that both my mom and my dad now require 24-hour care 7 days a week. We don't get 24-hour care. We only get limited hours. So we have to private pay the rest. So right now we're in the process of figuring out and budgeting how much money we have available to be able to pay for this help. Otherwise, it's on us. We can't rely on anybody else to do it for us.
We feel that we're doing the right thing, and
Sure.
by taking care of our parents as best as we can. So,
Well, you epitomize family comes first.
Yes.
And what our show is all about, and I really appreciate you sharing your family with us, and we wish you the best.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for being here. And now we turn to Monsignor McNamara for a spiritual reflection.
Marta speaks so calmly about having several generations live under one roof. This is truly a family comes first story. The grandparents had actually been raising 2 granddaughters for 10 years. Now, they are in need themselves, and they all live with Marta's family. I cannot imagine how challenging this can be. Still, Marta speaks about it in positive terms. She rightfully points out that it is better for the elderly members of their family to be at home with them rather than in a nursing home. While this is true, it is not always possible, and listeners should not feel guilty if they are unable to do this. Families often face very hard decisions in this regard. The need to carry a full-time job and discerning how best to meet the needs of someone with Alzheimer's or dementia are just some of the challenges that are faced. Marta is right when she says that it is often difficult to balance out the needs of the younger people and the older generation. Everyone learns from the experience and grows in facing the challenges. May God bless families today who face these challenges on a daily basis.
So Vincent, after listening to Marta and her family and meeting with our experts, You've been in this field for quite some time.
Hey, watch it now. Over 30 years.
Establishing your expertise. But seriously, you know, as an elder care attorney working with these issues constantly, what do you recommend is the one most important step that a family has to take when looking at keeping parents at home?
Right. And the best case scenario is having a plan and having that plan in place before the crisis.
Right.
That's the best way to approach it. And by having a plan, I think it's in a couple parts. One is understanding how decisions will be made if one loses capacity, and having legal documents in place to allow for family to step in and help, and friends. Having a knowledge of what the resources are in the community and the services that may be available through the government, in particular Medicaid.
Right.
And then 3, communication. So that the caregivers aren't thrown into a crisis one day. They're part of the planning process so the family can pull together.
Right, so the parents have to plan while they're able.
Right.
And the children have to be part of that planning process in anticipation of the future.
Right, and it's okay for the children. Now, these children are 50, 60, or 70 years
Absolutely.
old.
Yeah,
it's
we're in
okay for
this.
the children to bring this up with the parents and then seek the appropriate advice in creating the right plan.
Yeah, it's hard to do sometimes, but it's obvious how critically important it is.
Absolutely. You'll have many more choices, and you'll be focusing on what's most important in a crisis, which is how to get the proper care in that household, allowing that loved one to stay at home.
Right, and maximize the opportunities that might otherwise be lost just through lack of planning.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So the good news is that we are living longer. On the other hand, the likelihood of needing long-term care continues to increase as we age.
We know that this can be a trying and emotional time, but we have family, friends, and a community of resources that can help.
For a list of these resources and legal services, please visit Vincent's law firm website at vjrussolaw.com.
We should all be as loving and caring as Marta Waters and her family. Thanks to all our viewers for joining us, and remember, family truly does come first.